Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing the alternative quarantine scheme, sometimes referred to as the alternative state quarantine scheme. And I wanted to provide a little clarification on this as we're now dealing with a quarantine exemption scheme, as well as a sandbox scheme, as well as this, what's kind of become since the emergency decree of March 2020, this alternative quarantine scheme. These are all operating simultaneously. If you're confused, you're not the only one. There's been a lot of confusion out there, and quite frankly, we've gotten a lot of correspondence. For those who do find themselves confused and frustrated, it may not be a terrible idea. Contact a legal professional, gain some insight and guidance into how best to proceed through this system. But long story short, we are going to throw this up on screen. This is Thailand Pass FAQs. And for those unaware, the certificate of entry, which was created in March of 2020, that has now been phased out in favor of this Thailand Pass scheme. So again, mfa.go.th, Department of Consular Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And number 11, bullet point 11 here, the question is, cannot travel in Thailand freely if I have entered through the exemption from quarantine scheme, sandbox program, alternative state quarantine, question mark. Now, we've done other videos talking about the quarantine exemption as well as the sandbox. Those are two different things. They allow for a substantially at least shortened quarantine or virtually no quarantine at all if you meet the requirements. But for this video, we're talking about alternative quarantine scheme, and the answer is alternative quarantine scheme, you will need to undergo your 10-day mandatory quarantine at your AQ hotel/accommodation. Once you have completed your quarantine, you can travel to any destinations in Thailand. So it's very similar to the alternative state quarantine we were dealing with about a month ago here in Thailand, but instead of it being 14 days, it's now down to 10. So those that are coming into Thailand in AQ status, who are coming in through that program, you're still going to have to spend 10 days in quarantine before being allowed to go about your business here in the Kingdom of Thailand.